All right, so today is a little bit of a different video. I've been watching this guy on YouTube. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Maybe if he sees this, he'll tell me, but it's IPUR, so Epure, I don't know. I don't know what country he's in, but he makes these really amazing kind of small screen gauges, and they're digital and they're customizable. You can make them look like your car. And I've been following along, and I figured I would give it a shot. I thought he's got two that I really like. One is a boost gauge. So it's a digital screen boost gauge. It's color coded to match my car. I put the Jimny logo on the bottom. I'll show you here shortly. And then it reads my boost pressure. The other one he's got is an inclinometer. I know I say that every single time because I can't get it right. Inclinometer, I don't know. Anyway, it's two screens, so it's got a pitch screen and a roll screen. And again, the visuals are customizable, so I did some graphics to make it look like my car, and it shows a 40-degree pitch and 40-degree roll, and it's pretty cool. So I've been doing it where I've been able to get it to function on the screen, and I'll show you here in a second. It's literally just following this guy's video. He shows you the parts, he shows you every single bit of code, and you actually can just download the code. I did kind of step through it because I wanted to learn along the way. But it's pretty cool. I did reference his code a couple times just to find out what I was doing wrong, because I made some mistakes. And you'll find out later, I talk about how I was having issues with when I used a custom board, but we'll get to that later. So anyway, the thing that was probably the most intimidating is, in order to wire it all up, it's a little messy. You use these pitch transistor or pitch adapters. I'm trying to see if I can find it here in my box. And if you know anything about this stuff, I did not before. I've learned while I'm doing this. So little pitch on this side, it's a 1.78, I think, pitch. And then this is a 2.54 pitch. I think I got those numbers right. And the screens I bought look like this. And they've got the 1.78 pitch on the back. And most things that, in order to wire into them is so small. So you can get these pitch adapters that will allow you to put these pins in, and then it gives you a standard, I guess it's more of a standard size. But the problem is when you get done putting everything together, it's clunky because you've got these hanging off it and the wires coming off it. So this guy on this channel, here's his logo right there. Oh, I said it wrong. It's UPIR, not IPUR. So Upir? I don't know. But he made these custom boards on PCBWay that kind of solve that problem for you. So it cleans up the back side of it. But you've got to take one of these, then you've got to solder in these header pins, which are super tiny, on both sides. And then you solder on these screw terminals, so you can then just kind of screw down wires to it to make it work. And this is the finished product. So there's my header pins. There's the screw terminals. So this is my first time ever soldering like this. I've done some, I think we probably all touched the soldering gun at some point, but this is like, I had to use like the magnifier on my phone to zoom in to be able to see, because these header pins here, when you look on the back side, I don't even know if I can get it to show you, or if you can even see this. They are so tiny. But once you do that, then they clamp on the back of your board like this, and it's super compact aside from the wires that come out of it. So that's what I've been working on, is getting the screens to load properly, getting it to read. This is my boost gauge sensor here. That's got wires coming off it that go into the back of my screen. But once you kind of get the software loaded onto the the screens. His videos also walk you through how to customize the images. And I'll show some video of that here in a second. I'll overlay some video while I'm talking or something, but then it's just a matter of kind of wiring everything up. So I've been working on a 3D printed case that'll go into the ashtray slot that's got 3 spots for the screens. I think I actually have it in the car at the moment. Yep. So ashtray design, slides in the ashtray, and it's got 3 spots to mount a screen. So I've been working on that. Those screens fit in there perfectly. And now I'm trying to figure out how to mount the pressure sensor, or boost gauge sensor. And I've also got a sensor for the pitch and roll. So 2 sensors, the 3 screens, a little bit of wiring. It's not too bad. And then I need to power them. So that's been my next trick. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it laying around here. I bought these converters that are 12 volt, and you can then it drops the power down, because I was trying to figure out a way to wire them into my car. I didn't want to have a bunch of just like USBs everywhere. So I thought if I hardwired it off a fuse tap or something on a switch, that would be better, but I need to figure that out. I actually fried one of my screens playing around with it. I had to buy another one, so that sucked. But I just bought a voltage meter, USB voltage meter. So now what I'll be able to do is wire that up, and I'll be able to read the voltage that's coming out and know that I'm doing it the right way. So not putting too many volts into the screen. So that's my next thing. I'm going to be super nervous to plug it in. I don't really want to blow another one. These screens are about $23 a piece. So not super expensive, but certainly not something I want to burn a bunch of them up in the process. So that's a quick high-level overview. Let's jump over to the YouTube channel. I'll walk you through, what I'm looking at and what I'm following, so you'll be able to potentially follow along. I'll have a link to all the parts that I bought below. We'll walk through the YouTube stuff, and then I'll show you kind of what my product looks like all the way through to hopefully installed in the car in a clean way. It's already been a few weeks in the making. It's probably going to be at least a couple more weeks before this is totally done. But I'm pretty excited about it. It's turning out better than I thought. And so let's jump over. I'll walk you through some of the YouTube stuff and how to, if you wanted to do it, where to go and what to do. So, all right, let's do that. So here we are on YouTube. Shameless plug. If you haven't signed up, got some good videos on here. But that's not what we're here for. I wanted to show you the YouTube channel that I'm following to make this video. So if you look here, you can see here it's UPIR, as I kept getting wrong and saying IPUR, but it's UPIR. And it's called I Love Displays. And he makes all sorts of super cool small display for mostly cars. He's got a few other things in here, but it's mostly like automotive related. So this is the one that I followed for, and I'll put links in there specific to the videos and to his channel. But this is the one I followed specifically for the inclinometer. I'm going to say it both ways every time. And then he's got this really neat one that just came out about doing tire pressure monitoring, which is kind of a cool idea for the Jimny. Maybe future. I'm super curious. They're just low energy Bluetooth ends you put on your valve stem caps, and then he's got all the code and everything you can do to read out your tire pressure, and it's really neat and really simple. I'm trying to find this gauge here. It's obviously for a Ford, but the idea you could always replicate. Very neat. Fuel, like these cars don't have your typical CAN bus or anything like that we can pull from, so not everything will work. Here's a temperature gauge, and this one I'm also super curious about if I can tap off voltage and pulling a temperature gauge. So I might be playing with this one as well in the near future. But let me see if I can find the boost gauge one. Let me just search for it. There it is. And then here's the boost gauge one. So we'll start with this one.
And display
Sorry for that. We're going to just scroll back here. And what he does a really nice job with is kind of showing, you know, all the different ways that you can set this thing up. Shows you which parts to buy. He shows you how he tested it. And then when you get a little further into the video, he jumps to how he uses a little dial to test it first. Everything from on the front end of this, it's all about uploading some example code just to make sure everything works the way it's supposed to. So he does here, it's got a built-in accelerometer on the device, but he doesn't use that for accuracy reasons. But he has you upload a couple different samples just to make sure you're getting everything working right. He tells you how to set all of your settings in the Arduino IDE app. It's honestly very, very easy to follow. He does move a little fast, but it's all about pause, rewind, listen again, pause, rewind, listen again, look on the screen, copy the code. And then if you look down in his description, he's got links to everything for the actual code, his source files, to where he got the gauges and the boost pressure sensor and the enclosures and everything else. So it's very straightforward. I know it seems intimidating when you start getting into some of this stuff, especially like back here. Let me see if I can find it. Here, when you're like doing all this coding and then uploading to the screen and testing, but I'm telling you it's not. In worst case scenario, like I said, you can download this code and copy and paste it in, and you know that will give you the result that you need in most cases. Again, if you listened earlier, I talked about how I had to change my GPIO pin from 4, which he's using here, to one that was being used based on that board that he had created for the pitch roll sensors that I did. So I was able to figure it out in the code. And then the other issue I had was adjusting the code to make sure it started at 0, which was also very easy. I just had to modify a number that said plus, I think 15. I think I changed it to like plus 5 or whatever just to get it back to 0. And it seems to be working pretty well. But he also has all the files where you can customize your gauge any way you want. So this is the original looking one. He's got a few different colors, but if you looked at mine, mine is yellow to match the color of my car, and I actually took out his logo and added the Jimny logo in the bottom. I probably should give him a little more credit than that, but I guess I'm doing that right now. So that's the video. If you're interested, like I said, I'll have links to the stuff that I bought. Some of his links were dead on the screens himself. I was actually able to find them on Amazon. I'll keep them on my website too, just so if you're interested in buying them. I did have to buy some stuff from AliExpress. It's really interesting to find out that a lot of these kind of electronics components just aren't really available here. I don't know why. But like the pitch adapter that I talked about earlier, like I could not find anywhere but on AliExpress. And it's fine. I have nothing against AliExpress. It's just the shipping time sometimes can be a little long, which is why I think this is taking so long to finish. This is weeks in the making. Every time I find out I need something else, I'm starting again from, USB adapters to just trying to figure out how to power this in the right way. I'm actually waiting for a 3-way USB cable to come in that actually I reached out to this guy and he recommended that's how I power all 3 with a single cable. So we're going to see how that works. I'm cautiously optimistic. I was having issues when I plug it in when the car is off. I turn the car on, it doesn't power on, but if I unplug it and plug it right back in, then it powers on. I don't know why that's happening. I don't know. It's happening in both the USB ports that I have, so I'm going to have to try to troubleshoot that. What I really want to do is not power it directly into a USB port and hardwire into a 12 volt switch. So I've looked at some buck converters. The ones that I talked about earlier, the ones that I said will allow 12 volt in, and you can 12 volt out. Let me see if I can find them for you. I have my order history. Here's the screens. These are USB to USB adapters, so I don't have to go from male to female, whatever. This is how I was measuring the voltage coming out of it, which is how I figured out I was thinking about it backwards. So what I thought is you ran 12 volt from your battery power into this converter. Let me see. I'm talking about it and I don't have it pulled up right here. These. That you ran the USB power or the 12 volt power into here. You then switch these dip switches based on the power that you want. So if you look here, it tells you all the different voltage. And that what I thought was that it would spit out that voltage to the USB. So that's what I did. I ran 12 volt into this. I flipped these to match a 5 volt output, and I plugged in my screen, and it fried. It smoked, it made a popping sound, and has never worked again. So after doing some research, what I realized is that it's backwards. It goes the other way around, where you run power into this, and then this will go from all of those different voltages. So you get USB power in, and then the power out of the two wires is this. So it allows you to convert USB power into a positive ground wire. So unfortunately, it was backwards, and I did it wrong. But that's live and learn. I have those. Who knows if I'll ever need them? But they weren't easy. They were $10 for 4 of them, so not the end of the world. But so I'm still trying to figure out the power piece. And then if I go into Fusion, you can see here, this is the holder I designed. So the screens slot in right back here with the boards on the back. This is for the pitch roll sensor. It kind of slots right into here, and it's at an angle because this mounts at an angle, so this should level it once it's in place. That's why the angle is there. And then this is where the boost gauge sensor slots into. So it's all pretty compact, slots right into the ashtray holder, and should give me a pretty cool display to work with. So that's the gist on the work between the parts. Following his videos. Again, don't be intimidated. This is my first time. I will say the hardest part, and I talked about it earlier, was the soldering. But if you look at his, let's go back to the other video real quick. If you look at this one and you click on PCB Way, these are the boards that you can order from him. So these are the ones I ordered. I ordered them, and I probably should have waited because I reached out and asked him if I could have ordered them with the header pins and the screw terminals already soldered in place, and he said yes. But I had already ordered them. They were $10 a piece. You have to order a minimum of 5, so it was $50. They're actually really, really cheap. I think they're only like $1 a piece, or maybe $2 a piece. But by the time you get all of these fees and shipping, and they talk about tariffs and all this stuff in here, they unfortunately added up to $10 a piece. But maybe what I'll do at the end is do a totals, what it cost me, because I think I mentioned earlier the screens were $23 a piece. Those boards were $10 a piece. So you're looking at $100 right off the bat, plus all these little kind of adapters and the stuff that I had to buy because I didn't have these boards come pre-soldered with the pins and everything. So I would say a good guess, without doing the math, but maybe I'll do that at the end, is probably about $130, $150 all in for me to build this. Plus hours and hours and hours of time just working one thing at a time and troubleshooting and so on. But plus there's the sensors, so 150 is probably a generous number, but not the cheapest thing in the world. But I've got a version of it that obviously you'll see by the time this video is over that I've started playing with, that mounts into my ashtray holder 3D printed 3-gauge pod, and it looks so cool. So I'm really excited to have this thing all done and put together. see how well the pitch and rolls read while you're driving down the road, see how accurate the boost gauge sensor is. But it's so far so good. So yeah, so that's it on this piece. I just wanted to kind of walk through, where to find the videos. Again, I will link all this stuff down below so you don't have to hunt and search for it. But this guy's been awesome about responding to me and answering my questions. I just comment on his YouTubes, so I don't know if you can even see my comments down here, but yeah, right here. So here's me asking about the power, how he recommends I power all 3 screens. So, and then he responded and sent me a link to what he recommended, which is this. So I trust him. He seems to know what he's doing. I don't have a high level of confidence that these are going to push enough power, but I have no reason to doubt they won't. So I think I bought 3 of them just because it was cheaper to buy 3 and get free shipping than buy 1 and pay $10 for shipping. So I just bought 3, figured I'll have a use for them eventually, especially if I keep doing some of these screens. I don't want to have a screen heavy thing, but I love it'd be really cool if, and even in my dashboard, I could swap out, maybe the temperature sensor with an actual digital temperature sensor, like you saw earlier on his videos. So yeah, I don't know. This is really super cool to me. I'm really kind of obsessed with the idea behind this. There's another guy I'll give a quick plug to also. It's Garage Tinkering, and he also does a handful of automotive related gauges. Super detailed. You can see some of these videos are like really long, although these aren't that long, but some of the ones I've been watching are a little long, but he's very, very detailed, walks through all the steps. So this one's a really good one too. I kind of discovered him after the fact, but I don't think he's doing exactly the same thing with what I was looking for and what I discovered. He's using different kinds of screens, and both these guys are way smarter than me. So, but anyway, I've rambled on long enough. I just wanted to give you a deep dive into all this stuff, from the videos that I follow to the parts that I bought, to how I'm designing Infusion to make it work. And I'll have these available for sale as well on my website if you decide to buy it. It comes out pretty cool. I printed it in a carbon fiber PETG, and it looks really, really good. But you'll see that here in a bit once we switch back over. But yeah, so that's it. Let's go back to the next phase. Should be getting these things mounted in this case and testing out how that USB 3-way cable works, and then ultimately going for a test drive. So hang in there. This is probably going to be a long one, but I appreciate you watching. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, so now that we've got it wired up, I'm out in the car, and I'm going to plug this in, see if we get some kind of similar read as we get on the boost gauge that's in there now. So I'm going to start it and take a look at it and get an idea on what it reads at idle. So you can see maybe, it's reading about 15, negative 15 actually, because it's in vacuum at the moment, at idle, and about 1500 RPMs. I don't know if without load, I can't really get it to go past 0, but that should be enough just to see how close I am, because there are some things that I can do in the code to adjust to make sure that it's right. So I'm going to use my little power supply here. Just unplug my GPS for now, wire this in, disconnect the hose from the back of that boost gauge, hook it to this boost gauge, and we're going to see what kind of reading we get. There we go. So we got a reading. It's a little above negative 10. But it does move as I rev, so it's working. It only gets to 0, which is the same as the other one, so I'm pretty close. So now what I need to do is So a couple things. I bought these little converters because I want to hardwire this in. So what this allows me to do is run a USB cable, USB-C to USB-C, and I can set the voltage, and then I can just run a 12 volt in the ground to that. And that'll make it easier for me having to have a bunch of USB ports everywhere. This one's gonna need 3, one for each screen, as you can see here. But I got these really cool flat USB cables and they're short. So my goal is to be able to pack them all in nicely to the ashtray holder when I'm done. But what I need to do right now is I've got these custom PCB boards. So I'll have the links to all this up in the description, but because I'm really just following a YouTube channel, as I've said, but these are the boards, the little tiny boards, and I have to solder in some pins on the middle and the right and left side, and that'll give me access to what I need, and it'll clean it up and have everything coming directly off the back, because right now I'm using this, it's called a pitch adapter, so it takes this 1.27, I think, pins, which are tiny, up to the standard 2.54 size, and this is just too bulky, for a nice tight enclosure. So when this mounts to the back, I'll be able to run everything directly off of that, and it'll be a cleaner install. So I've never soldered header pins onto a board like this before. I've got the pins in here somewhere too. Let's see if I can find them real quick. I've got a bunch of stuff. So here are the pins. They're so tiny, but these will go into the sides that'll mount to the back of the board. And then I've got these, well, I just spilled them everywhere, but these that'll go on, and then I can just screw wires into them. So super clean, super neat install, which is what I need for this to get everything to fit in there. So I'm gonna clean up the little mess I just made, find the one that I dropped, and I'm gonna get soldering. I've got a little solder set, and we're gonna see how this goes. Okay, all soldered and wired. For the first time soldering, it wasn't terrible. I used the magnifier setting on the phone as a setup, so I could kind of see close in, because those little pins are super little. I don't know how tiny those are. But I got it. But once I got it all soldered in and set up, what I realized is that when you follow the tutorial on that I'll share, it has you linking to GPIO 4 for the data. And when I demoed it, it worked fine, no problem. But then what I realized is these boards I ordered were specific to the tutorial on the inclinometer that I'm also building, as you'll see here shortly. So the pin setup did not match. This PCB board is built for that project, not this project. And I realized there was no GPIO 4 output. So it took me a little while to figure it out, but I figured out that I could use a different pin, and then I just had to change the code to match the pin. So I was able to get that to work, and now it seems to be working fine. And one thing I also noticed is that when I tested it in the house, the meter was sitting at like plus 15. And I think, and I'm going to find out when I hook it up to the car, that it should start at 0. That should just be like where the meter starts, and then vacuum will pull it down, and obviously boost will push it up. So I'm going to hook it up and see if we get a 0 start. It's starting at 0 now, but it's also not hooked to anything. So we're going to do that and see how it goes. So hang in there. Okay, so it did what I thought it was going to do. It's sitting at -10 with the car running. And if I rev it, you can see it goes to 0, which is about what it was doing with the original one. what I really need to do is take it for a drive. But the adjustment to figure out where to set the starting point is super simple. I just got to change a plus minus number in the code. So pretty straightforward, no big deal. But so far so good. I do need to figure out power, because if I turn this off and I turn it back on, it doesn't turn on until I unplug it and then plug it back in, and then it turns on. So I've got to figure that out. I think I have a solution. We're gonna check here in a second and see if I'm right. All right. Alrighty, so next step. I think I've got this thing pretty well put together. So if we look at it, got the 3 gauges in there. This is my attempt at kind of mounting and cleanly wiring. It could be better. I'm not overthinking it for my, I'm arguing this is a prototype. But there's probably a cleaner way to do this. I'm dealing with how to mount that boost pressure sensor and have it still slot in to the ashtray. The height was causing a problem in the way I had it set up before, but I think this might fix it for me. I also got this cable that finally came in. It's what I've been waiting for and what's holding this whole thing up. It's a single USB, but it's got 3 USB-Cs on the other end of it. And I've got all of those fed into the back or to these screens. So I have little flat 90-degree turns that come off, and then I'm just going into those. And so my hope is I've got a USB port that's hidden in here, and it's what this is being powered by. So that USB-C adapter is really just a female end with a cable on the back that plugs into just a standard kind of like one of these deals here, one of these right here. So it's nothing fancy. It's what I used. I used the fuse tap to kind of power it. And my hope, and I think it's a USB-C and a USB, I think it's considered a B, this end. I think there's a second one on there that's that size. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pop this panel off. I'm gonna just quickly plug that in, and if it powers everything, no issues. I just tested it in the stereo USB. Everything powers on right away. I'm hoping I get the same result from that, and if so, that cable is long enough where I can slide this into the ashtray, run that cable back there, and I'm gonna have to put a longer hose for the boost gauge, because I've got one now that runs the boost gauge that's down here. I've got this one that I've been running, and it's kind of hard to see, but I've been running that one for a while. So the cable's too short to run up behind the dash where the ashtray is. So I've got another one, so I'll just disconnect that one, run a new one over to that, as long as everything powers on like it's supposed to. And then I want to take it out for a test drive. I haven't taken it out for a test drive yet to see how accurate the boost gauge is. I know there's some calculations I can do. I'll show you in a second. Since the last kind of section I filmed, I have since, thanks to ChatGPT, I'm becoming a big fan. I had it help me rewrite the code to add splash screens. So now it loads, and you'll see a series of images. It's really my Jason and the Jimny logo across the 3 screens before it fades into the actual gauges. So I'm so excited. It all looks so good. So that's new. I also modified the code to allow me to mount the pitch roll gauge. I think it's kind of like an accelerometer. I don't know what it's called. It'll be listed. You'll see it. My initial setup, it had to be, or the initial code, I should say, it was set up in a certain way where if I didn't install it that way, my readings would be wrong because I was setting my X to Y and so on. It's a little complicated, but again, with the help of ChatGPT, I had to kind of rewrite the code so I could turn that and slot it in so it's not just calculating and spitting back out the right way. So that was a pretty awesome discovery. And yeah, so the splash screen and fixing that was something I've been working on. I've been waiting for this cable to come in. But yeah, the next step is power. See if everything flips on. If everything flips on, I'm gonna run a new, I don't wanna run the boost hose until I know. I'll run a new boost hose. And then I think it's just test drive and done. I don't know how well these are gonna hold up in a bouncy, vibrating car. I have no reason to believe they won't hold up well, but we're gonna give it a shot and see how long this holds up. But I'm gonna get this thing installed and hopefully this will wrap up this video. I know it's a long one, it's a complicated one, but it's one I'm super excited about if it all goes as planned. So if not, you're gonna find out with me. But anyway, I'm gonna go do this and I'll be right back. Okay, so here's that little USB adapter. You can see the one on the bottom is the one that powers this. And then it had an open spot that was the perfect size for this. And my hope is that when I flip this thing on, put the key in and turn it, that these 3 screens will light up. So let's find out. Keys, you're gonna have to deal with the beeping, I'm sorry, because my door is open, but let's see what happens. Power. I think I have to go one more actually. Yeah, because that's not on yet either. So I've got to go one more to on. So on, there we go. 3 screens up, loaders, and fading back to the gauges. And here we go. It's working. Pitch and roll. Front back. Although roll doesn't seem to be doing anything at the moment, so I'm gonna have to figure out why that's not doing anything. I may have a cable disconnected. But yeah, it's a good start. So it's powering on. That was my biggest concern. The roll was working 20 minutes ago when I had plugged in, so it's probably just something I need to take a glance at and whether I disconnected a cable or something. But other than that, like, I'm super happy. This is my biggest concern on whether or not this thing was gonna provide enough power, this one cable. It's probably not ideal. I got a note from that Garage Tinkerer website that I'll share below, but mentioned earlier in the video. And he said that I can probably just power directly into one of the boards and then daisy chain the 3 boards together. I started playing with it. I started getting super nervous. I was going to break something, so I stopped. And I just figured I'd wait for this cable, and that would be a last resort. This cable's working. I've already got the setup to plug it in. There's no reason for me to mess with it any further if it's working. So it's a lot of cables. It's a USB flat angled to a USB adapter, female to female, that then goes back to the longer cable. So it's a lot of, pieces and parts, which I'll probably find a cleaner way eventually, but this is all just an effort to make it work. So I'm going to figure out why that roll isn't working. And I'm going to get this thing installed. Good news and bad news. Everything's working. I don't know why the pitch or the roll, I think it was the roll that wasn't working, but I kind of took it to check the wires and everything. Everything seemed fine, and I plugged it back in and it worked. But this is the second time this has happened to me, and I've got replacements or made returns and got new ones, but I don't know why it's happening. I don't know if it's just these screens are super sensitive, and if I press them into their case wrong, this happens, or if they're just faulty. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to show you here what's happening. So we're back plugged in. I'm going to put the power back on. You'll see it come on, but this screen here, it's like the screen gets damaged, and I'm not exactly sure why that's happening. It's not going to stop me from installing because I'm so close, and it's not going to stop me from releasing this video. You saw the working version earlier. You can see like pitch and roll is now working. But that's a little concerning. So I'm going to request a replacement. It's super easy to swap out. I just disconnect, literally just pins, just disconnect the back, disconnect the USB, and plug it into the new one and we're good to go. So it's not the end of the world. I can get everything else installed, set up, and even test drive, because I can still see it enough to see how it's performing. But yeah, I'm really annoyed. I might have to see if there are an alternative in the future for better screens. Or like I said, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but it just looks like someone punched that or something, and I didn't. So yeah, so that's horribly frustrating, but fixable and an easy fix. It's just another waiting game. So I'm still going to get this thing installed. I'm going to leave this as is for now, and I'm going to go out for a test drive. I want to kind of monitor. It's going to be hard to see because right here is where 10 PSI is in the dark area, and that's what I should see at full boost on the Jimny. But I'll be able to see these guys work, and that's pretty cool too. So I'm still going to do the install here. I'm going to run the cable to it, and yeah, I'll still take it for test drive and show you how it works. So not the end of the world. Just know I'll be doing an update to replace that screen here in another few days. It shouldn't take more than a few days for it to get here, but I was just hoping to have this wrapped up today. But either way, you get the point. So yeah, so here goes. All right, we're wired and installed. Everything's put back together. You can kind of see my blue boost gauge here, which I should probably, or boost hose, just get out of the way a little bit. But the rest is just tucked under here. Again, I got a broken gauge, but you can see the needle is bouncing. And when I getting a little bit of movement when I use it, so it's working. Roll, if I shake the car, you can see roll's working. Pitch is sitting at -3. I need to play with that because maybe -3 is right in the way that my garage sits. I have no real way of knowing. But I feel like it's pretty level, so I might adjust the code to zero that out based on how it's sitting in there. But I'm gonna take this thing for a drive and we'll see how it goes. All right, so here we are driving. I'm gonna do my best to keep this focused. I'm going downhill, so showing an 8, 10, it's pretty steep. The hill that I live on. 13. Getting ready to make a right. Watch that boost gauge also. Boost gauge is probably a little too high. I think at full boost it was sitting closer to 20. It should only be at 10. So I'm gonna need to do a little calculation on that. But it works, it moves. I also can't tell because of this broken screen. But everything else seems to be working pretty well. I'm gonna try to take this corner a little hard and see if you see the roll happen. So yeah, it's pretty good. I'll tweak the calculations on the boost gauge. That shouldn't be a big deal. I don't think I'll have to do some chat GPT math, but arguably speaking, like everything is working as expected. So I'm pretty happy with it, but that's the test drive. I'll do a quick update when I get the screen replaced, just so everybody can see it, but the video is gonna end here without me boring you with a video that's already too long. So thanks for watching. Please ask questions in the comments. Let me know if I can help at all as you're thinking about doing this yourself. And yeah, hope you like it. See ya.